To be a chaplain for Tidewell specifically, again, kind of going back to journeying with people, it's walking with them through their final phases of this life, which again can be very hallowed ground, and I'm certainly honored to take that journey with people. I think we all come to Tidewell for our own reasons, and we have our own ideas of what the specifics of that job is, but I think for the most part chaplains would say, that's what we do, is we're walking with them on this very special journey. Wherever it leads, we're going to be with them. Tidewell has chaplains because it is a company that is concerned with every aspect of care for a person. I tell my volunteers kind of the same thing when I'm doing their orientation, that a person is not literally just a physical body. If anybody describes themselves, say, who are you? They're not going to say, well, I'm 6'2" of 70% water and a physical mass. They're going to say, oh, I'm a doctor, I'm a teacher, I'm a husband, I'm a wife, I'm a fill in the blank. So from the very start, we think of ourselves as more than physical beings, just plain physical objects. So it's only natural for a company to want to take care of the whole as opposed to just the physical. In my free time, I have 4 kids. That takes up a lot of my free time. And then the wife and I try to be normal as much as we can in between the chaos of those 4 kids. I do write a lot, but during the weekends I try to go skydiving as much as the weather will let me. The adrenaline gets you hooked right away, absolutely. But the community in skydiving is just so amazing. It's so tight. And I found that skydiving has helped me as a chaplain just because it gives me a break from being a chaplain. It's that self-care. Certainly playing with the kids, certainly writing, certainly spending time with the wife, but skydiving is so far from everything I do here that it gives me just a mental and emotional break, which is really important. I've had 1 reserve ride, that's what they call it when you have to go to your reserve. Completely my fault. Around jump 32, I basically hacked it wrong. So when it was time to pull, nothing came out, and I knew something was wrong immediately. You look over your shoulder and there's not a parachute there, and you're still going really fast. And I was surprisingly calm, and I realized that going through my procedures, to get my reserve out. The only thought in my head, I had 2 thoughts actually. My first thought was, okay, here we go. It wasn't a, oh my God, I'm gonna die kind of thing. And then after my reserve popped out, it's $60 to have your reserve repacked because you have to have a rigger come in and repack it. It takes about an hour. So my second thought was, well, there's a $60 repack. Yeah. It really didn't actually kind of hit me till I was on the ground that I was like, wow, I just had a reserve ride. Haven't had one since. I tell my students this, and people who look at me are like, I'm crazy. The skydiving is a very safe sport as long as you respect the sport. The moment you say it's not going to happen to me is the moment it's going to happen to you. I love being a chaplain probably for 3 reasons. The first is every day is a little different, and I love that. I love that with any job, as long as it's a little different every day. Second, especially in hospice, as a chaplain we walk on very hallowed ground. And I know a lot of the other chaplains will say very similar things, why they love it. So you get into these conversations and these moments that you just don't find anywhere else. They're serious, they're touching, they're sad, they can be funny, but you don't find that anywhere else, and I really like it. And then the third one, and this deals more with kind of hospice work in general, is I'm very drawn to kind of like what happens next. What is after this life? I think that's probably one of the biggest mysteries out there, and so this job kind of puts me at the edge. If I'm going to get a sneak peek, to speak, this is kind of the edge. So I'm just kind of naturally drawn to kind of looking over and saying, hey, what's going on there? And the more I do it, and I tell my patients this every now and then when they're kind of looking for some sort of hope or some sort of grounding, I say the more I do this job, the more I'm convinced there's something out there better, and that just keeps me going every day.